Hey y'all, I apologize for the interruption. I had to stop because my dog jumped up and went running toward the door like she was going to bite somebody in the butt, and so I had to hurry up and stop and go find out what was bothering her. And so I know that there's a way that I can just put these two together, but I do not know how. So we're just going to do this episode 3 part 1, and then this is episode 3 part 2. Okay? Okay. So anyway, as I was saying, we were talking about how I had seen this massive gaggle of sea lions on the side of the road, and so I'm like cracking up. I just start cracking myself up. I think this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, and Jason is just looking at me like, what is wrong with you? You know, as we're driving on the highway, and I said, I'm high as hell. And he's like, what? I said, I am messed up. I'm like, y'all, I'm higher than a crackhead with $2. I was high. Okay. And I could not stop laughing. And it took me forever just to tell him that because I couldn't stop laughing long enough to tell him what was going on. And so the whole thing was nuts. Anyway, I can still see it. If I close my, I can still see it in my head because I swear that's what I saw. It was crazy. Anyway, so there was that. And needless to say, when we got home, I slept very well that night. Like went right to bed and slept clear to the next day. So, anyway, after that was done, a week later, I had to have a breast MRI, okay? So, in the day that I go in to have a breast MRI, I also have a consultation with the plastic surgeon, the one that does, like, reconstruction after mastectomy. So, I had a consultation with that doctor that day, and then I went back in for a breast MRI. This thing, y'all. This thing is ridiculous, okay? It's like a roller coaster ride for your chi-chis, all right? It's insane. 100% look it up. It's absolutely ridiculous. Go look it up. Look at a picture. You got to see this thing, okay? The whole process is crazy, all right? So, I don't know if you had an MRI, you know it's like a big tube, okay, that you lay on a table and you go in and out of this tube, right? Big, giant tube, okay? So, but for this particular exam, there's this table, okay, and it has 2 holes in the top, just 2 holes sitting there, and then it has a space above the holes with like this little cushion where you're supposed to put your face, okay? So it's supposed to be like a massage table kind of, but it's not as comfortable, right? So anyway, I got my designer robe on, right? And I go get my designer hospital issue robe on, tits a swinging, okay? And I have to get up on this table on my knees, which was insanity, okay? So I'm up on this table on my knees, and the little guy that's that's the tech, okay? Because I talk to everybody, right? So I find out who everybody is, and he's from North Carolina. He has a really, really thick Southern accent. And he's telling me, now you need to get up there and you need to hang on to there's these little handles that are right here, okay, on the side. And you have to be on your knees and you gotta lower yourself into these holes. So you have to lower your girls in and let each girl drop down one in each hole. And then you put your face in this circular donut thing, and you rest your forehead on this thing. So you're looking down. You can't see anything. You're just looking down at the bottom of this table, okay? And you got to put your arms above your head. Okay? Now, he's talking to me, and he says, okay, now I'm going to come in underneath, and I have to adjust you. So it's just me doing that. And I'm like, okay. So these hands come in underneath you. Okay. Now I'm laying here like this, face in the hole. Girls are swinging. And I feel these 2 hands come in and maneuver. Okay. So they're in here maneuvering the chi-chis, right? To lay just right and dangle where they need to be. Okay. And then he puts a camera up against each one on each side. And it was ridiculous. Every time I think he's done, he's back in there again, and I could feel things just moving around, and he's tugging and pulling and moving and tugging and pulling and moving, and he's like, okay, now don't move, you gotta stay super still. I mean, I haven't been felt up that much since well, that's another story for another time. So, anywho, so you have to stay super still as you're in this thing, right? And breathe when they tell you to breathe, and exhale when they tell you to exhale, right? And they roll you into the tube. Now, y'all, I'm a big girl, okay? And my ass was scraping both sides, y'all. Both sides of this tube. Like, I mean, I'm going into the tube and I can feel the sides of my butt, like, as they're going in there. And I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get stuck in this tube. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's like right, just scraping the sides. I'm like, man, it's a good thing that I'm not claustrophobic, because that would have sucked. Okay, like I'm stuck in there, right? And they gave me some Valium. The doctor, my medical oncologist, but medical oncologist, he gave me some Valium, which was a much higher dose than the one that I had before. And you know, to get in the boob tube, because I had to have this IV with contrast, and I was a little anxious about that and everything. So he gives me some Valium for it. And of course, it does not take effect before I have to go in the boob tube, right? So I'm going in and out of this tube. They pull you out for a little bit, then you got to go back in. Each time, ass just scraping the sides as you go in and out. It's really embarrassing. Okay, so anyway, that's all done. I come out, I stand back up, get dressed, and we go to leave. Now, we got out of there fairly early, and I was feeling pretty good because, you know, that was a fairly easy process. And so we decide we're going to hit Sam's Club on the way home, because we're already here in the city. Let's just hit Sam's Club and pick up a few things. So I'm like, okay. So we go to Sam's Club, and about halfway through the store, I realize I have to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom, and I'm in the bathroom, and then I get done in the bathroom, and I go to leave the bathroom. And about when I'm leaving the bathroom is when that friggin' Valium kicks in hard, really hard. And now I'm jacked up, walking through Costco, lost. I cannot find my husband. I have no idea where he is. He's gone. Now he's an enormous man, so you'd think he'd be easy to find. I cannot find him, and I'm just roaming this ginormous store, Sam's Club, lost. I'll be honest, it seemed like forever. I don't know how long I was walking around looking for him. I could not find him anywhere. But I'm trying to hide the fact that I'm high, because I'm jacked up right now, because it hit hard. It didn't even sneak up, it just hit you. Okay, so I finally find him, and I decide that I'm not going to tell him that the stuff kicked in. I'm going to hide it. I'm going to keep it to myself, okay? Because I don't want him picking on me, so I'm just going to let it go, right? So I finally find him. He does not know, because I don't tell him, that the Valium kicked in and I'm high as a kite, right? So he decides to let me drive the massive giant cart. You know the giant carts they have at Sam's Club and Costco, these big, humongous carts you put pallets on, right? He lets me drive the cart, which was a mistake, because I was high as hell. And now I have to maneuver this massive object. And that was a mistake. And so, you know, I ran into things like the aisles and people and the back of Jay's legs. So he finally was like, what are you doing? And I had to come clean. Yeah, by the way. So good times. All right. Needless to say, I don't remember everything that we bought at Sam's Club, but I can tell you that we have enough toilet paper and giant muffins for a small army. I don't know what else we got, but we got those. And that was the end of that visit. So now I want to move on to shit my husband says, of course, because I know y'all been waiting for it. It's like one of your favorite parts, I know. So a couple things. So when we were talking to the surgeon, plastic surgeon for breast reconstruction after mastectomy, and there's giving me some information he's telling me about, and so first of all, Jason tells the plastic surgeon he tells the doctor how excited I am to have brand new showroom titties. I'm so excited. And like, he's just like, oh, she can't wait to get some brand new showroom titties. And this is the surgeon's face. He's like this. Stone. Just stone. Just, he did not find it funny at all or anything at all. It's just stone. And then we're discussing the process, and he's telling us about how, and he's showing pictures and stuff, and he's telling us about how they take tissue from other parts of your body to create a breast when they're making a new breast, right? And I say as a joke, because I make jokes too, y'all know me, y'all know that I have plenty of extra tissue to go around. I said I have enough. I'm happy to give other people some tissue. They need tissue, I'll give anybody they want. They want some tissue, I have lots of extra. And Jay pipes in and says, just don't let him take the ass. I say, now I'm like, what? He said that right in front of this doctor. So I'm a little embarrassed. And I said, Jay, I got more than enough to go around, right? I have plenty. And he said, I know that you do. Do not let them take it. And I said, then I'm going to look like a weeble wobble because I have to have the stuff on the top, you know. And he's like, at least you'll still have all the ass. I mean, him and I are having this conversation in front of the plastic surgeon, by the way, who's still like this. Completely unamused by our rantings, okay? And he's like, look, these guys can have everything else, but that belongs to me. Y'all, no truer, more romantic words were ever spoken. This is my life, y'all. My husband, he's such a romantic. I mean, I have an hourglass figure. I just have a lot more hours in my glass. I have like a 48-hour day instead of a 28-hour day. So, like, if you take the top half off, you're going to get a weeble wobble, okay? If those that don't know what a weeble wobble is, I'm going to tell you, it's definitely going to age me, but y'all already know how old I am. So, in the 70s, and I was very little, they had these toys called weeble wobbles, and it's a little dude. They're about this big, and they're shaped like an egg, and they have face and little clothes and everything painted on them, okay? And they're shaped like an egg, literally. They don't have arms or anything. They're just an egg shape, and the bottom is weighted, okay? So it's bottom heavy, and because it's weighted, you can push them, but they come right back up. It's like one of them clowns that comes right back up in your face. So you can try to knock them over, but they don't fall over. In fact, that's part of the commercial was Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. And I can't believe that I remember that after all these years. But anyway, so that is a Weeble wobble, okay? I don't want to look like a Weeble wobble. I think that that's a terrible look. I do not want to go through that. And then... So he says that, right? So I got off track there. I'm sorry, you know, squirrel, right? And then, so when he comes in, so he was supposed to take a picture of me. I was talking about this port. He was going to take a picture of me after I got the port, right? And he didn't take a picture of me. And so he says to me that my face, after he walked in and he saw my face, and immediately was like, there is no way. He's like, I'm certainly not taking your picture. He goes, you look like you fell out the tree and got beat up by every branch on the way down. Like somebody tried to beat you. So I thought maybe you might not want a picture of that. And I was like, well, okay. Point taken. I appreciate it. And since I've gotten the port, okay, he keeps calling me a cyborg. Because he's like, you could just plug me in like something from the Matrix. He's just full of quips. Just don't y'all just love him, I swear. So our next segment, which I told you about last episode, we were going to introduce a new segment called Tumor Humor. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is dark and honest, y'all. So buckle up, okay? Here, here we go. So a man goes to the doctor because he's not feeling well. He's been sick for a long time. Okay. And he goes to see the doctor, and the doctor examines him. And then the doctor asks if he can speak to the man's wife in the waiting room. So they step out of the room, and the doctor speaks to his wife, and the wife is like, "Doctor, what's wrong with my husband? I'm really worried about him." And the wife's like, "Ma'am, your husband has cancer." And she gets really upset. She goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sad about it." She goes, "Can he be cured? What can we do?" And the doctor says, "Well, there is a chance we can cure him with chemotherapy, but you're going to need to take care of him every single day for the next year. Cooking all the meals, cleaning up all the vomit, because there will be vomit, changing out the bedpan because of the diarrhea, driving him to the hospital every single day for treatments. It's a lot. So you're going to have to take care of him every single day for the next year, okay?" And she's like, "Okay." So the doctor walks off, and she goes back into the room with her husband where he's sitting in there, and he's really worried. He goes, "Honey, what did he say?" She's like, "He says you're going to die." I'm sorry, I told you it was dark, but it makes me giggle every time. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because I really liked it. Oh my God. Okay, so we'll finish this episode up, which I like to finish up every episode before we close, with our question and answer segment called "I Told Y'all You Could Ask Me Anything. What the hell was I thinking?" This question comes from my very, 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 very best friend, Melody. We've known each other for a lifetime. And she asked me something that was pretty serious, actually. I was surprised, but I'm glad she did, because it made me think about a lot of stuff. So her question to me was this. She asked, do I ever feel, or did I feel after I got my diagnosis, like I had done something to deserve this? Like, you know, I guess like it was a punishment of some sort. And then she elaborates that she asked because she's struggling with it, and she was struggling with almost like a crisis of faith, because something like this is happening to someone that she cares about, that she says doesn't deserve it. This was a tough one, honestly. And it made me think, but I'm going to be straight up, okay? I have never once, not one time, entertained the thought at all that this was a punishment, that I did something to deserve this fate. I've never been angry at God, like, it's nothing like that, okay? Like, I never thought it has to do anything with anything I have done, like, nothing. In fact, and I imagine, honestly, that that's probably a very real, a very common reaction for a lot of people, to be angry about it, mad at God, or think, "Oh my God, if I had not done this, you know, or if I had lived my life differently, then this wouldn't have happened to me," and all that other kind of stuff. And that's probably really common, and have that thought at first. But to be completely honest, I've never once thought that. In fact, I would say that I was the polar opposite in having the polar opposite. I've never felt that way. I don't believe that we're punished for doing things like that in this way, you know. But I mean, I think that there is an ultimate punishment of some sort, but I don't think that we're punished by given things like this, you know, these trials and tribulations to go through. I don't believe that. Here is what I do think, and granted, this is all speculation because none of us don't really know, but this is just what I think. I believe that genetically, I was always going to develop breast cancer, because I think that something like this is in your genetic makeup. You're either going to get it or you're not. Okay. So from the time I was born, I already had in my genetic makeup, my genetic DNA, that I was at some point going to develop breast cancer. It was going to happen regardless. Okay. It was inevitable. But at the time, I was traveling for work, and had been traveling for work and out of the state, clear across the country. And I'm working, you know, 80-hour weeks, if not more, and all I did was work. And I would have never gotten a screening. I would have never gone. I would have never taken that step to take care of myself, because I've done self-checks just like everybody's supposed to do. I never found anything wrong, and so I would have put it off again and again and again and again and again. I mean, I only ever had one doctor's appointment the whole 7 months I was gone, because I needed prescription refills. Literally, that was it. I would have put it off over and over and over again, because I would feel like, you know, there's nothing wrong. I feel fine. What's the point? And I would have just let it go until it was probably too late if I had done that. But through a interesting chain of events, that ended up bringing me back home to essentially get prepared to move from my location here to another location in another state. And things kept falling through, and nothing was lining up right. And everything was getting pushed back further and further and further. And every time I turned around, it's like something else was happening, and it wasn't working out. And I was getting more angry and more frustrated and more irritated by what was happening. And I remember being mad and just telling Jay, man, I could have stayed in Florida, because that's where I was, in Florida, on the beach, by the way. And I could have stayed in Florida and continued to work and made some money and hung out with my parents. Like, I was mad, because nothing was lining up the way it was supposed to, which is the reason I had come home in the first place, right? All of these things that were supposed to happen and were not happening. And I'm getting super irritated. And then I received this diagnosis from my doctor, and immediately I knew this is why. I knew then that God brought me home to deal with this, like basically forced my hand, made me deal with it. And I also know for a fact that God would have never brought me to it here to not lead me through it. I mean, we still have free will, and we can still make our own choices. I absolutely believe that. But I do absolutely also believe that there is a force, a guiding force that helps place you, nudge you where you need to be when you need to be there. So, number one, no, I have never felt like that. I felt completely opposite, and I thank God that I got brought home to do what I had to do, even though that I didn't know that that's what was going to happen. And number two, I know, as sure as I know my own name, that I will survive this, and I'm going to be okay. I guarantee it. I know it. I know for a fact. Melody, I hope that answers your question. I'm going to be okay. All right. I want to thank everybody for liking and subscribing, you guys, for watching my show, for being a part of my journey. You guys, I know I've said this before, and I will continue to say it over and over again, and I will never tire of it, how much it means to me that you can be a part of this as well. I chose to make this public for a reason, and I thank you so much for joining me on my journey. Every time I hear that little ding, and because somebody has subscribed or somebody has watched my video, or someone has liked, it just makes my heart so happy. So thank you for that. Please continue to share this, share it with others. If you have not liked and subscribed, please do so. Please share with everyone else. Thank you. Girls, get them girls checked. I'm going to say it every time. Do not wait till the last minute. Get your girls checked, y'all. It could save your life. Okay? The next episode that's coming up, we're going to talk about the last exam I have to have before chemo starts, which is called a PET. It's called a PET scan. We'll talk a little bit about that. That'll be coming up next. I just wanted to thank you guys again for being a part of my journey, and bless every single one of you. I love you. And remember, if you can't be good, be careful. Okay? Peace, love, and all the above. See you next time.